Welcome back to Technical Writing Uncensored. I'm here with Jadinson Oshar, who is the founder of TinyRocket, works on CodeRabbit for docs, and VectorLint. Welcome to my little YouTube channel, Jay. Please
Nice to
tell
be
me
here.
about yourself and about TinyRocket and VectorLint.
So I'm a software engineer and technical writer, and also the founder of TinyRocket Labs, a small dev shop where we're currently focused on building documentation tooling. And I've been a software engineer for just over a decade now. Well, technical writing here and there along the way. And just recently did I focus a little bit more on technical writing about 2 years ago or so. I was consulting and editing for a software testing company. I was managing their community writing program. And so during my time, I faced a lot of challenges with, editing content from a number of writers. So while doing that, I thought, why not build something that solves some of these problems? And that was how I started TinyRocket Labs. And yeah, now we're building VectorLint and it's been fun.
hmm So please tell me more about VectorLint. How can it help technical writers?
Yeah, so VectorLint is a CLI tool. VectorLint is a CLI tool, and recently did we start building the cloud version of it. So the idea of VectorLint was to help technical writers review content faster. It's pretty much like Veil, but Veil is more of static analysis where it catches patterns in content. So for instance, you could catch terminology issues, you could catch issues with spelling, passive voice, anything that involves pattern matching. But when something requires contextual judgment, Veil sort of falls short there. So the idea was to extend Veil, where you use Veil for what Veil does best, and have something that can give you a little bit more just to speed up your content review workflow. So, for instance, you could want to check if your piece of content or your documentation is direct. You could check for repetition, maybe repetition of ideas across sections. You could check if your documentation concludes with a CTA. Basically anything an LLM can do, right? And that was the idea of VectorLint. And we wanted to put it in your CI pipeline, the same way you could put Veil in your CI pipeline. But the issue with LLMs is that they are not deterministic. Unlike Veil, where you know what to get, with LLMs, you could ask it for something today and tomorrow it does something completely different.
Yeah.
So the problem was like, how do we solve that problem? How do we make LLM reviews just a bit more consistent, something where you can like be confident in the reviews? And so we used a number of techniques with LLMs, using like LLM as a judge. It's an LLM evaluation technique used to judge LLM outputs. So we sort of used that and we brought it to documentation, using it to evaluate documentation based on certain rules. And just recently I don't want to say we invented our technique, we didn't invent the technique. We researched like a new technique in LLM evaluations, and we've been able to use vector-links to produce more consistent and reliable evaluations such that you can generate scores from them. Like you could ask an LLM, review this documentation, how good is this documentation? And LLM can tell you it's 10 over 10 or it's 8 over 10. And tomorrow it tells you it's 5 over 10. So how can we get an LLM to judge your documentation and give you a 5 over 10 today, and tomorrow maybe give you a 4.5 or a 5.5, but nothing too far off from the actual documentation standard or benchmark. So yeah, that's why we built VectorLint. That was where the whole idea started from.
So is it kind of like a Claude Skills.md tool?
Well, you could say it's sort of like Claude in a way that you specify rules. You don't need the whole, creating skills to use VectorLint. You could pretty much just type a few instructions like catch every, you could say catch passive patterns in my content.
hmm
You do like an extensive level of implementation. and you still get something decent from it. So yeah, so close to Claude, but not exactly. You can think of it like Claude, but built specifically for writing.
Hmm. Okay. So can you show us how it works?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I'll share my screen now. Can you see my screen?
I can, yes.
All right, nice. So I prepared a test document
Mm-hmm.
for all, and I would walk you through how to set up VectorLint and get started with the evaluation. So I already have VectorLint installed on my machine, and all I have to do is just similar to Vue, right? The truth is I got, I would say, most of the ideas of how it's designed. I wanted to create something familiar to technical writers, so I made sure it was as close as possible to how Vue works. So with VectorLint, you could just start with the command to initialize it with VectorLint init, and it creates the VectorLint configuration file for you. Similar to how Vue has the Vue.ini file or Vue.ini file, you also have VectorLint.ini file. So can you see, is it very clear? Do I need to,
Yes. Yep, I can read
okay.
it.
All right, cool. So similar to how Vue has a rule path, Vue has like a default severity and your rule path as well, where you can define it. We have one here, VectorLint, which is a preset that we have bundled with VectorLint, so that we don't have to, you can get started without doing any sort of configuration, basically to get you started as quickly as possible. And the document here is one I prepared. I made sure it had some issues we would like to patch. So we'll run Vue on this, VectorLint on this document and see what comes up. So it's as simple as running VectorLint demo.md. And so what it's doing now is it's making calls to the LLM. And it takes some time because, well, no, it takes few seconds because it has to create JSON outputs. It has to evaluate a number of rules. Right now, it's running the document on about 8 rules. Some of them are AI patterns. It's also checking for inclusivity. It's checking for directness, a bunch of other rules. So it takes a little bit more than Vue. I'm sure when you use Vue, it's usually snappy, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you were going to say something?
Yeah, no, I was agreeing with you. Yeah, Veil is pretty snappy.
Yeah. So because there's a little bit of overhead because you have to make requests to the
Mm-hmm.
LLM and all that. So same thing, similar output to how Veil has or how Veil works, but here you see you have a score at the end of it to give you an idea of how good your document is. So the first one here says warning, formulaic transition states the points directly. So it says instead of here's the thing, this is like the thing AI does when it's writing, where it's like signposting, where it's telling you like here's the thing, it wants to tell you something is important. So it catches that, like AI pattern. This one is about consistency. It says your point of view shifts from your team to he when describing the engineer. So you change your point of view within that. So
Oh
the
yeah,
rule.
I'm always editing for that with my yeah, when I'm working with other writers. Yeah, that's a pet peeve. Nice catch.
Yeah. So there's also the inclusivity part, and where it says replace equationary metaphor with neutral terms like engineer. It says use engineer or developer instead of ninja engineer. Like people that want to say, some people might say rock star engineer or superstar engineer.
Mhm.
Like, then it says use gender neutral pronouns, they instead of he, to replace he with they. So yeah, Veil catches a number of these things, but with VectorLint, you don't have to worry about configurations. You don't have to worry about a certain like regular expressions and all that. You can state all your rules in regular English, and you are good to go.
Mhm. So is this so just wanted to make sure that we're mentioning that this is an open source tool.
Yeah,
And is this something that you can put in your like end-to-end testing pipeline?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, yeah,
Like, like have
yeah.
it run on all of your PRs? And
Yes, you
then,
can. You can definitely do that. It's a CI, since it's a CLI tool, you can pretty much put any CLI tool in your CI/CD pipeline. So
mhm.
yeah, you can put vector into your CI/CD pipeline as well.
Yeah, and have it like put comments in your PRs on GitHub and
Yeah,
sweet.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you can. Yeah, you
Yeah,
can.
are the VectorLint rules written out somewhere so that people can get an idea of what it goes after by default?
Oh,
And
okay.
and then
Yeah.
also, how do you give it specific rules?
So you can create a directory,
Hmm.
and we could call this rules. And in each directory, you could create a rule pack. So let's create a rule pack and call it TinyRocket Labs, right? So in the rule pack here is where you specify each rule. So we can say maybe you want to check for passive voice. Then you specify your rules in this file, and you come to the configuration and set the directory of your rules to this rule path here. Pretty much similar to how Veil works. As long as you know how to use Veil, you can use VectorLint. It's not going to be a
Hmm.
problem at all. Yeah.
All right, and then so then it will look at the specific passive voice rules or the whatever rules you set up as well as the default VectorLint.
Yes. So you can completely, if you don't want to use VectorLint, you can completely just remove it here and replace it with yours, and
Okay.
you're fine. Yeah. So it's not, you don't have to use the bundled rule. It's up to you. It's just to help you get started as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I was just kind of wondering, if you can write rules for it in plain English rather than having to write it in the kind of veil format where you have to be very, like you said, pattern matching.
Mhm. Yeah. So we could also have it run with VectorLint.md file. So it also checks for VectorLint.md file within a directory, similar to how uh, you have Claude.md in the root directory for Claude. You also have VectorLint.md, and you can check for, let's see, what can we check for? Yeah. Um, what can we check for? Let's check for, let's see if we can find something related to, say, passive voice.
Hmm.
And we can run it again. No, let me disable this so that it runs with just VectorLint and MD. There's always that issue of overhead. Okay, so it's still now.
Hmm.
So it says passive voice detected, close or notice, consider active voice, still miss poor writing or poor writing except notice. So there are, when your rules are not very specific, you could get false positives. That's why we have some of the rules as presets. So you could have an idea of how to be a little bit more specific when specifying your rules. Because, false, what we call passive voice has, there are sometimes when your document will emit passive voice. Sometimes passive voice is fine, yeah? And for the
Hmm.
AI, when you say flag every instance of passive voice, it will just pick
Then
up
it's
every
gonna,
single thing. Yeah.
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 Okay. And then that's where you'd add like specific word lists and stuff, I imagine.
Yeah. I was going to show you um how we define the passive voice rule
Oh,
in
please,
preset.
yes.
Yeah. So this, can you see my screen?
Hmm. Yes.
All right.
Oh, cool.
So
So yeah, this is, by the way, gang, this is one of the cool things about open source tools is that you can actually go and take a look at the guts and how all of this is defined.
yeah.
So I was asking where the rules are listed, and here you go. Here is the VectorLint default rules.
Mhm. Yeah. So we can just have a look at passive voice and see how it's written. So this is the front matter written on the rule. VectorLint uses it for some internal um, functions, but pretty much this is what you need to write. Just this about 2 paragraphs of rules. You'll see this is a bit more specific than catch every single instance of passive voice in the content. So you'd want to be more specific when you write your own, but you don't have to write more than this when um, writing rules with VectorLint. So the cool part is because Veil is pattern matching, you pretty much have to think about every possible scenario of or every possible instance of how it will go wrong, then create those things beforehand. Then when you encounter a new issue, you then create a PR, updates the Veil rule to make sure everyone catches it. But with AI or with LLMs, I don't want to use the word AI, with LLMs, you
Yeah.
can
Oh, it's a pet peeve of mine. I'll spare you the rant, but yes, it's not intelligence, it's an LLM. People.
yeah, yeah, it's crazy. Like since the last time we spoke, I've been subconsciously avoiding the word AI in everything I say. When someone is saying something, I'm like, sorry, I meant LLMs, not AI. LLMs, not AI. So I think I'm on your ship right now. Like I'm on your side
Awesome.
right now.
Do we want to stop the demo and chat more about, or do you have more to
Yeah.
show in the demo?
Um, we could okay. I mean, we could still talk about what we are building out of Vector in CLI.
Oh,
So
yes, please do. Cool.
yes. So I started working on VectorLint Cloud and VectorLint Cloud, let me just show you the landing page. And VectorLint Cloud is basically takes VectorLint and we're turning it into a way of auditing your documentation and layering one like monitoring and observability of your docs. So basically it's audit your docs, get scores that your team can align with, and anyone can contribute to the documentation in your team. So you can have your developers contribute. Of course, you still have to review what the developers do, but you
Yep.
have an idea. But you have an idea of like we want make sure your content hits a score of 9 or a score of 8 before I take a look at it. So it sort of like saves you a lot of stress or a lot of time you will have spent fixing some minor issues you would have otherwise spent um, doing other things. So this is still in beta and we plan on launching soon today or tomorrow. But I can give you a quick look into it if you want to.
Yeah, by the time that this is published, guys, this will be public and there will be a link in the description.
So I'll just go over here and show you what all things we're doing with Beckoning. So yeah, so this is what your documentation dashboard would look like. And
Hmm.
you can see the number of documentations that are good, the ones without errors, the ones that are poor, that have really low scores. And you can see how well your documentation has been going over the week since you've been working. And
And so is this like you point it at a repo or a directory and it scans the whole thing and gives you
so
or,
yeah, so that's what we're trying to do. That's what we're planning to do. This is,
hmm?
like I said, it's still in beta, so we haven't implemented Git yet. But the idea is as soon as you push a PR, your PR gets tracked and it automatically gets audited. And you can come in here and look at how good the documentation is. You can basically gives you data and gives you like a graph on how well your
Hmm.
documentation has been going. So you can see your score, you have a score of 55, you have 29 warnings, you have 0 critical issues, the files evaluated, basically giving you like a coverage over your documentation, you know, how much or how far you've audited your documentation. And the graph helps you see what your progression is like. It helps to track the improvements in your documentation. So you can see warning keeps going up. When warning comes down, your the good docs goes up. Giving you like just that quick glance on the current state of your doc. You can also see what errors. Pardon this should not be there. It's still a bit, so we're still working on cleaning up some stuff. But you'll see the rule violations, the most repeated ones in your documentation. So here is consistency. You could see things like directness. You could even check for SEO if you want. And yeah, so pretty much giving you a dashboard and helping you look at your documentation at a glance, giving you something data you can talk about and present to stakeholders or other members of your team, showing, yo, this is how our documentation has been over the years or over the months. This is what I've been able to do. The motivation behind this was we wanted to give technical writers a way to show their value, a way to show the value they are contributing to the business. Right now, it's just errors and warnings, but we plan on correlating all of this data to external metrics. For instance, think about if your graph was going up, so your warnings are going up and all that, and we're able to bring in data around support tickets. So you can see when your error started going up, your support tickets also started going up. So
Hmm.
that way you can correlate the quality of your documentation with external business data, like support tickets, like traffic coming to the page. We also plan on adding LLM readiness as one of the criteria, so you can see whether your documentation is ready for agents, um, and give you signals around ranking in LLMs and all. So that's what we're building
Very
now.
cool. And did I see that there was going to be a free tier or a free trial once you guys go live?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, yeah. We're going to have a good trial. Don't worry, I'll send it to you once we go live. Don't worry.
Oh, no, I was just wondering because the as soon as people see this, they're gonna want to know if they can try it. So
Yeah, there'll be a free trial. Don't worry,
cool.
we can work something cool for people subscribe to your channel.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, check the description, guys. Details will be there once we figure them out.
Yeah. But that's pretty much it. That's pretty much what we're doing right now. And if you have any questions, that's fine. If you want us to move from a demo, we can talk about other things as well.
Yeah, let's close the demo and because I also wanted to talk about the open source aspect because one thing that trips up a lot of writers, the advice often given to new writers when they want to get samples and experience stuff is volunteer for an open source project. But that is so intimidating, especially for new writers or people who are less technical. And so this seems like it might be a good project for technical writers. Do you have good documentation for this? Is this a good project for technical writers to come and help out with?
Yeah, it's definitely a good project for encourage us to help out with. Do we have good documentation? No, we do
I
not.
should hope so. Oh, you don't have good documentation. All right.
No, we
Well,
do not. And the reason is we tried, but we work with a billing team. And so everyone is doing like way too many things. Of course, we plan on adding it, but I think because many of us are, I see many of us like we're more than four. So many of us, we work on like code stuff, and now that everyone can code, everyone is contributing to it. So um, it can be difficult sometimes taking our time to work on it, and because it's not mainstream, I would say we've not really had an incentive to work on documentation. But now that it's a core aspect of the VectorLint cloud, we definitely have to work on documentation. So you'll definitely be seeing some new documentation coming up, and for sure anyone can contribute to it. Welcoming everyone, and no reason to be intimidated. Please, like you can send anything. I'm open to receiving and giving my feedback on anything anyone said.
Awesome. So this is something that can help technical writers eventually with showing their value to a company and also help to automate some of the more repetitive aspects of reviews.
Yeah.
What else do you have for your long-term vision? What is the final form of VectorLint?
So the final form of VectorLint is becoming that orchestration layer for quality, where you come to VectorLint to specify every single thing about quality related to the documentation, where you automate every part of your documentation and you can see everything at a glance. And when someone asks you, what have you been doing recently? Like, how are you so confident you are helping the company move forward? And you're like, here's my VectorLint dashboard. I'll send you a report. You can see everything I've been doing. You can see how I've been helping people on board better, and basically just helping you answer all those hard questions. When I go through LinkedIn, sometimes it hurts when I see technical writers almost defending themselves, like saying, "Oh, you can. This is what AI can do, or what AI can do," and it feels like they are not backing it up with data. I know what technical writers do. I would admit, before I got into technical writing, I sort of looked at it and I was like, yeah, what could be so difficult about managing documentation? And now I'm building a product that requires documentation. And I'm like, oh, I get it now. So it hurts when I see um, startup founders or stakeholders talk down on technical writing like they are just some role you can eliminate and you'll try. And I believe the reason why it's that way is because they don't have enough data to show what they're doing. There are so many aspects of technical writing. You speak with customers, you engage in communities, you answer questions, you deal with support tickets and all of that. And it's difficult to record those things. It's difficult to put those things down and say, hey, last week, this is what I did. You probably not even remember all the things you did. So I really want to be that I want to create a platform that makes technical writing a more solid field where everyone can confidently say, this is what we're doing, this is what we're contributing, and this is how we're helping drive business results.
That is really cool. So, do you have any advice for people dealing with this crazy job market right now? Because there's so much in flux. People are
Yeah.
getting laid off left and right, and
Mhm.
and apparently there's AI scams going left and right. I'm hearing it
Mhm.
from job seekers as well as recruiters.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a really crazy time right now. I Just before our call, I was on YouTube and I saw a video from someone I subscribed to, a software engineer, and she mentioned how she said she had just been laid off from Block. That's the recent massive layoff.
oof.
Um,
Hmm.
yeah, and that was, I think she was just a few weeks at Block, and that was a second layoff in a space of few months. And so it's like, what is happening? But it's expected because we are currently in a transition. Like the truth is, no one has it figured out. No one can 100% tell you this is exactly what you should be doing, because even the AI models are basically invalidating themselves every few weeks. Today you are hearing of one model, tomorrow that model is not as great anymore. There's a better one now. So what I can tell people is, or the advice I can give anyone at this time is to find how to multiply what you currently know how to do. Like going, how do I put this? Like going to, when I say going one layer up. So if I use technical writing as an example, um, previously writing was a big part of it, but now you have AI models that can do all those. But you can be the orchestrator of those models. You can be the person setting the rules and even building the tools you use to do your work. That's how awesome it is now. Everyone can build their stuff. Now I'm building VectorLint, a technical writer could pretty much do it as well. So be the builder of tools and be the orchestrator of models. And that way you have a higher chance of being at the top of your field when everything settles down, because it's definitely going to settle down at some point. The same way computers disrupted, the space when they were introduced, and everyone was like, "Oh, what's going to happen now?" And everything settled down. It's the same way it's going to be with AI as well.
Yeah, I mean, people forget that computer used to be a job title. There used to be, yeah, a computer used to be a human who did calculations.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
now everybody knows that it's a piece of hardware. But I
yeah.
think that technical writers are in a really unique role because we talk to so many different people within a company. We are like the connective tissue
Mhm,
between different silos. And
mhm,
then we also have the language skills to really help define, like going back to the VectorLint rules, to really refine and define those rules correctly in a way that can provide guidance for people who are less skilled with documentation and such to enable them to help, and then also automate the boring and sucky parts of the job. There,
yeah,
some
yeah.
years ago when, yeah, like 2 or 3 years ago, geez, it feels like forever. I had to go through a set of documentation and change a bunch of SQL words in code blocks from lowercase to uppercase. And these code blocks were embedded in text, so I couldn't just do a search and replace. And, managed to use an LLM prompt to help me so that I could, not have to type everything out. And now I probably, in just 2 or 3 years since that happened, probably could do it a lot more
Mhm,
elegantly. But
yeah.
even then, it was just so great not having to do that soul killing typing thing that is just, every job has these boring things. And if we can
Mhm,
use the vector lints, the Claudes, the LLM tools to, save us the boring repetitive parts, then we can actually focus on the higher level organization, like you were saying, orchestration
yeah,
and the workflow, the processes, and the architecture to improve things. And
yeah.
then, hey, who knows where we can go from there?
Mhm. Yeah. Like on your point about specifying the rules that govern what these tools do, um, I was reading an article by Fabrizio this morning, and I think he spoke about, he said, was it an article? No, it was a LinkedIn post. He said he was telling his wife about technical writer's role in like, the whole AI space and everything. And he compared it, he said, imagine someone created a robot nurse, a robot doctor or something, and um, basically these things depend on some instructions that
Mm-hmm.
someone else defined, and technical writers are those people that give the instructions to this robot. Thinking about it from a medical field, it sounds really scary, but it's pretty much how it is really, because technical writers are basically creating the rules, the documentation, the contents that all these LLMs feed on, and that's what will determine how well they would use your product. It feels almost rudimentary. It's rudimentary, really, not even almost. It's rudimentary, and it shows how important that task is. So there is definitely like the technical writer's work is definitely important, and it's just about finding how to present your value, how to position yourself. I think that's the thing.
Yeah,
you can be the most skillful person on earth. If you don't know how to position yourself, no one will really see the value in what you're
absolutely. And I think we're about at time. Thank you so much for
doing.
this conversation, Jay. I have really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did too. I did too. It was really fun. Yeah, 38 minutes. Oh,
Yeah.
time flew so fast. Yeah, it
All
was
right.
fun.
And thanks for joining us on Technical Writing Uncensored. If you enjoyed this content, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. And tell us in the comments what you are doing to upskill yourself, to what AI tools you're using, and what experiments you're running. We want to know. Have a good one, all.
All right, bye.
Okay.